Hi there students. In this video I wanted to look at the difference between aground and ashore. Okay, let's see, if something is aground, it has run onto the bottom, it's not floating anymore. So if there's a sandbar underneath the water and the boat runs aground, it's stopped floating, it's supported by something underneath, although there's water all around it. Whereas ashore means to the land, from the sea to the land. It means on the land. Ashore, if you are on a boat, you're on the sea. You're not ashore. Ashore is on the land itself. So aground, a boat or a craft that it's not floating, it's resting on the bottom. And ashore, on the land as opposed to on board, moving towards the land. Now both of these words are adverbs and adjectives. However, as adjectives, they're not very common, and these are also what are called post-positive adjectives. They go after the noun. So I spent a day ashore. The sailors spent the day ashore. That's as an adjective. Seeing a ship aground is a sad sight as an adjective as well, has got to go after, but much more commonly both of these words are used as adverbs. So the ship ran aground on a submerged reef. The ship went aground and started to break up. The ship is currently aground off the coast of France. A tanker ran aground in heavy seas and is breaking up. So notice, to be aground, to go aground, to run aground. This ship hitting the bottom. That's the idea of it. An oil tanker went aground off the Spanish coast. The ship went aground in thick fog. Okay, so aground, this is talking about an accident. Or maybe you run a ship aground to stop it sinking because it's got a great big hole in the bottom. Thousands of tons of crude oil spilled into the sea after an oil tanker ran aground. Okay, so to run aground. And then ashore. We went ashore when the boat reached the port. A few pieces of wood washed ashore. The debris floated ashore. The sailors spent the night ashore and they got very drunk. Okay, the boat ran aground and then the sailors got off and waded ashore. Okay, so we pulled the boat ashore. We pulled the boat up onto the beach, but run aground, so you hit the bottom and then you could pull it ashore. The cruise included several days ashore, but when it arrived it ran aground and we had to wait for the high tide for them to get the ship off the sandbar. Okay, so he managed to swim ashore. So aground, stranded, grounded, beached, stuck. A whale had run aground, whereas ashore is walking up the shore, is on the shore. So ashore, something that comes ashore from the sea onto the shore. Oil has come ashore on a stretch of beach. Once the boat was ashore, they lifted it up and put it on a trailer. Okay, so that's ashore. Whereas aground A ship runs aground, it touches the ground in the shallow part of a river or a lake and it gets stuck. Yeah, and the point of aground is the thing is stuck. Yeah, it's grounded. The ship ran aground. Okay, so aground is aground is where it is on the ground. Yeah, the bottom of the ship is on the ground. It's onto the bottom of a body of water, whereas ashore is from the sea to the shore. The boat, we tied up our boat and went ashore to visit the island. Okay, things wash ashore during a storm, but the gunboat ran aground and broke up in the storm. A patrol boat ran aground, so lying or touching the ground underneath shallow water, it had foundered. It was beached, yes, it couldn't get off, whereas ashore, on the shore, to land from the direction of the sea. So the seals come aboard to so the seals come ashore to breed. Yeah, the ship is aground because it's unable to move. Yeah, because it's touching the bottom in a place where there's very little water. The ship is currently aground, whereas ashore, towards the land from the water. So we swam ashore, wood washed ashore, winds blew the various things ashore. Okay, so both of these words, formality, I'm going to give them both a 5 in formality. I think you could use them absolutely anywhere. And as to origin, okay, ashore, well, comes from the word shore, which comes from Old English skora, Proto-Germanic skura, meaning a rock or a cliff or a shore. And aground, well, it's equivalent to a and ground. Grund in Old English, grundas in Proto-Germanic. These are all related to ground. So, ashore and aground.